Hello and welcome to episode 460 of the official EstablishTheRun.com podcast. My name is Adam Levitan, as always, joined by Evan Silva. Just talked NFC. Today we'll be talking AFC team by team as the bye weeks approach. Evan, how's it going?
It's going great. It's nice to have a few teams on bye, 2 fewer games to write.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of content will rise. I'm ready for it. Let's do it. AFC.
On today's show, as we mentioned, we're going to go team by team through each AFC squad, what we saw in week 5, what it means going forward. Before we get into it here today, I have to remind everyone the NBA season starts in exactly 1 week, Tuesday, the 18th of October. Our draft kit is live for sale right now. If you have a hoops draft coming up, also, we are ready to rock with our DFS NBA product. There's really nothing like it. It's hard to convey how much work, how much effort, how much blood, sweat, and tears and knowledge goes into doing projections for the NBA 7 days a week, every day, for 6 months. Dink and his team are just absolutely insane maniacs. We have multiple people working all over the globe to get you the projections as accurate and as quickly as possible. Head to the subscribe page to check out everything we have for NBA. Also, this podcast is brought to you by our friends at Underdog Fantasy. They have this ridiculous Resurrection and these battle royales going on. We do have rankings for both up right now. The Resurrection closes on Thursday, so be sure to sign up. Use promo code ETR when you sign up. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. Really, it's a lot of fun doing the drafts and sweating it all year. Like when stuff starts going bad in DFS, one of my favorite things to do is just like open the Underdog app and start seeing how my best ball teams are doing. Try to salvage something. All right, Evan, let's get into it here with the AFC, and we'll start with the Baltimore Ravens. I thought it was disappointing for J.K. Dobbins. His usage in week 4 was really good, coming back from the knee injury, of course. And then in week 5, even with Justice Hill out, only 40% of the snaps, 61% of the running back carries, only 13 routes on 35 dropbacks for J.K. Dobbins. So that was disappointing. They played without Bateman also. What did you think of the Ravens on Sunday night?
Yeah, and another thing that stuck out to me about the Baltimore backfield was that Kenyon Drake led the team led the backfield in snaps. Mm-hmm. Kenyon Drake, I think he'd been a healthy scratch in each of the previous 2 games, so that was strange. This is also still a backfield where Lamar Jackson is going to, probably be the favorite to lead the team in rushing every week, and so it's going to be a little tough for J.K. Dobbins. Especially if they're going to continue to use like Kenyon Drake or, Mike Davis or whatever, because he's going to be touchdown dependent. He's going to have a lot of touchdown dependency, but he's not going to catch passes. And again, Lamar Jackson is the favorite to lead the team in rush. I think he's going to have some pop-up weeks, but just in terms of his forecastability on a week-to-week basis, I think it's going to be a little tough for J.K. Dobbins. He does look good, though.
I just think they're not ready to extend him. Like they just think the knee isn't completely right, and they don't want to extend him. Period. And so we just have to deal with that. It just is what it is. Is what it is. Mark Andrews, absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Ridiculous. Yeah. Anyways, let's go to Buffalo. So Josh Allen, as usual, was incredible. I think the point that I was trying to make last week, we tried to make on rest season 150, was like, yeah, Gabe Davis may not be that good. He may not be a huge target earner. But when you play every single snap with Josh Allen, like you can have games like this, and you can have huge games. And Gabe is going to have some of those. Ankle stuff obviously looked fine, so that was good to see on Gabe. The other thing that I noticed was Khalil Shakir, I thought, played well. And it was an emergency situation. I thought maybe he played well enough to mix in with McKenzie in the slot. And that's like not what I want. I want either one of them to be in there full time because this role is valuable. I wanted either be Shakir all the time or be McKenzie all the time. And now I'm worried that it's going to be some mix of both, like they were doing with Crowder and McKenzie. Very big blowout, though. What'd you see out of the Bills' easy win over the Steelers?
My boy Quentin Morris fumbled away a touchdown.
I saw that.
Yeah. They just beat the absolute brakes off the Steelers. And Josh Allen had like over 300 passing yards or something in the first half.
Yeah.
And he only finished with 424. But yeah, you provided a pretty good summary there. I think that it'll be interesting to see if the Bills try to make a move for Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
The Bills front office has a ton of ties to Carolina. They've made a lot of trades over the years So, I mean, that's something that I think is very realistic.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think they'd have to give up much to get Christian McCaffrey. The question is, do they want to pay him and his contract? But I think it's probably fine. And I probably would actually, just because I think I normally wouldn't for running back, but Christian McCaffrey is such a unique player.
Right.
Let's go to Cincinnati. T. Higgins thing sucked, man. I mean, he was questionable with the ankle. I thought he was fine. Then he gets out there, aggravates it, ankle sprain. Mike Thomas is filling in for him in 3 wide receiver sets. Just don't feel great about ankles and aggravations. Just because I love T. Higgins and I have a ton of T. Higgins in best ball and season long. It just sucks. People are asking, Evan, what's wrong with Jamar Chase? You know, he's still on pace for 109 catches, 1,166 yards, 7 touchdowns. He has not had the explosive big plays downfield. His ADOT is almost a third lower than it was last year. His catch rate should be higher, though, if your ADOT is lower, and it's not. And so I think like there's some regression here towards just normalizing a lot of this stuff. But I do think that there's something to be said for them not targeting him as deep. What do you think about what's going on with Jamar Chase? Anything else on the Bengals?
Well, I mean, usually when, you have a big time deep threat that, isn't getting the ball deep as consistently as in games past, it is because the team is actively not confident in its pass protection, and the Bengals offensive line to this point in the season has been a little bit of a disappointment. I think it has gotten better over the past couple of weeks, though. And again, the continuity factor is always big with offensive lines. And the guys have largely stayed healthy. Jonah Williams did suffer an injury in this game, but I think that he's going to be okay. But once they start to build that continuity, Lyle Collins also has been a big problem on the right side. But I still think that as long as they continue to like stay healthy and get out there and work together, we're going to see more fireworks from this offense. I think that Jamar Chase is a very clear and obvious buy.
Yeah.
Oh, I also want to shout out Hayden Hurst, who, we're kind of talking about him on a weekly basis. Like he's out here he beat like Marcus Peters one-on-one on like a wide receiver route in this past game. And he's, if you're scraping the pile for like a tight end option, like he's a top 15 guy. Absolutely right now.
Sure. Yeah. Speaking of scraping the pile, I don't know how serious T. Higgins' injury is, but Mike Thomas did run a lot of routes in that T. Higgins role. Obviously, Tyler Boyd gets a big boost also. And I would not discount the boost for Jamar Chase also. I know we didn't see it in this game against the Ravens, really. But when T. Higgins is out, I think we can certainly raise Jamar Chase's projection going forward. Let's go to Cleveland. I mean, Nick Chubb, unstoppable. I mean, another 8 yards per carry game, 2 more touchdowns. It's absolutely insane. It's not outlier efficiency because he literally does it every week and every year. What I will say, though, is this. Like, Chargers rush defense is not good. Chubb has played Panthers, Jets, Steelers, Falcons, and Chargers so far. Probably like one of the best possible 5-game stretches for him. I know there's no Lions in there. I know there's no Seahawks, but like one of the best possible. Now it starts to get real. Browns next 6 games. Patriots, Ravens, Bengals, Dolphins, Bills, Bucks. I mean, just good teams that they'll likely be losing to or more likely to be behind against. And not saying they're going to give up on Chubb, but Kareem Hunt tends to play a little bit more in those situations. So if you're looking for a reason to sell high on Nick Chubb, he's an incredible player, the best running back in the league, but schedule is about to get really, really, really rough. What say you, Evan, about the Browns?
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I could not pull the trigger on trading away Nick Chubb right now. Number 1 overall fantasy RB, but I get it. I mean, there's definitely logic behind it.
Yep.
David Njoku has been the most consistent part of the Cleveland passing game since that awful week 1 that we can all forget about.
Yep.
But he's been a consistent stud, and he's been like, they're funneling the passing offense through him to a more consistent extent than they are with Amari Cooper, who you're gonna have to live with the ups and downs of Amari Cooper. He's just like a boom bust wide receiver 2 going forward. I mean, that's just how it's going to be, and you're going to have to live with the ups and the downs. This was an up game for him. I think Jacoby Brissett continues to perform at above expectation, I would say, and yeah, I mean that the play calling, the designs are great. I mean they're a very sharp. Kevin Stefanski's a very sharp head coach, and everything is sharp.
And Njoku's playing his ass off, man.
Dude, yeah, and he's gotten to the point where he's like a really good blocker too. I mean, he's out there 90% of the snaps every single week.
Yeah, for sure. And on Amari Cooper, really talented wide receivers who play every snap. Like I'm just going to play them every week and let the chips fall, and I'm going to try to be on them. That's just like the exact kind of player that I want to be on. And certainly, Jamar Chase fits the bill as well. Just like one of the most talented wide receivers in the league, playing every snap with reasonable quarterback play or good quarterback play. I mean, it's no brainer. Okay. Broncos. First game without Javonte Williams. It was a short week. Latavius Murray was not active. And I want to be clear about that because Latavius could be active this week. But in the first game without Javonte, it was Melvin Gordon, 41 snaps and 21 routes. Mike Boone, 30 routes, 30 snaps, 19 routes. I thought Mike Boone outplayed Melvin Gordon. I'm not sure that really matters at all going forward. Question is, how do you think the backfield will look in the future? And do you think Latavius will be active? I actually don't know, but I kind of think that he will. What do you think about that and anything else on the Broncos?
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if he was inactive for the next game. Because I don't think Latavius Murray is going to get out there and play special teams. So we'll just have to see. I thought Mike Boone showed a lot of juice. I mean, a lot of juice in his first game as the sort of change of pace back. And I think he deserves 10 to 12 touches a game going forward. He's got more juice than Melvin Gordon does. And Melvin Gordon has been putting the ball on the ground.
Broncos, man, I can't believe they lost that game. I mean, I can't believe some of the games they've lost this year. Yeah. They've been so bad. The coaching has been horrific. They've been horrific in the red zone. Russ has been bad. I think you can drop Russ. I mean, there's got to be better quarterbacks available on your wire if you're in a single quarterback league than Russ right now.
They also have a pretty good defense. Patrick Surtain, I mean, a lot of analysts are calling him like the best corner in the league already.
Yeah.
I've seen some pretty sharp analysts saying that. So they're going to be in like low scoring affairs. I mean, it's not working out well.
And the shoulder issue for Russ, also, he's going to be fine, it sounds like, and he's going to play, but it's certainly possibly affecting his play.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, shout out to the Bible narrative. I mean, KJ Hamler was wide open. Shout out Penn State. Wide open. And Russ just locked on to Cortland Sutton. You know why? Bible narrative. Okay. Anyways. Houston. Dameon Pierce, man. I mean, he might have one of the best roles in the entire league. I mean, Dameon Pierce, 60 out of 66 running back carries the last 3 weeks and a 14.3% target share. I mean, you don't have to go too far into usage metrics to see that is elite. Now, they don't have that many red zone opportunities. They're losing a lot. That stuff isn't great, but his actual role is awesome. Davis Mills has been disappointing for me, for sure. What you see out of the Texans, who got a win over the Jaguars.
Nico started to do some things recently, Nico Collins, but just the passing game is so unreliable. I mean, what is this? They had 140 passing yards in this game.
Yeah.
They want to run the ball. This is Lovie Smith, head coach. Dameon Pierce is balling. I mean, he is, I think, number 2 right now in broken tackles among all running backs, behind only Nick Chubb.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, the dude is like real good.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed that to us in the preseason. He showed that when he got the opportunities at Florida, he was just extremely underutilized at Florida. And, that's why the Florida head coach got fired for things like that.
Texans are on a bye in week 6, by the way. Colts. I don't know if you've noticed this, Evan, but the Michael Pittman usage is not great. I mean, he is running routes so close to the line of scrimmage. He's running these like comeback routes, and he's not even earning. You should be earning a lot of targets on those short kind of comeback routes. He only has 36 targets on 181 routes. Alec Pierce has 22 targets on 109 routes. Alec Pierce is doing better on targets per route run than Michael Pittman right now. Are you concerned, Evan, about Michael Pittman going forward?
I am a little bit. I am a little bit. I think it was Rich Rebar pointed out Michael Pittman has run the most hitch routes in the league, 54 hitch routes, and he doesn't have a single target more than 20 yards downfield.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah. It just seems like what they're doing here is they have guys in defined roles. Paris Campbell's, I mean, he's like the cardio guy. Alec Pierce is the player that they're going to throw the ball to downfield. And Pittman is like the big possession receiver. it hurts the upside for Michael Pittman. His target share is still really good. He's going to be an asset in PPR, but I remember coming out of, I don't know, week 1 or 2, thinking like Michael Pittman's going to be a top 10 fantasy receiver for sure. And I'm not so sure that that's the case anymore. Also, Matt Ryan just entirely unimpressive. And the offensive line is not very good. It's not very good because it's really bad in 2 spots.
That's what I was going to say. The 2 things for me are A, Matt Ryan may be like total dust. And B, if you're going to be that underneath possession guy, you better be earning a lot of targets. Like that's what Keenan Allen does. Keenan Allen never goes deep down the field, but Keenan Allen earns a ton of targets underneath and he's valuable in fantasy. Michael Pittman needs to start earning more targets if this is going to be his role. I was so excited for Mo Cox in week 4. Remember Mo Cox went off in week 4. His route participation was rising. And then for whatever reason in week 5, only 37% route participation. I just don't get that. But
I would just like to get in the coach's room with Frank Reich and ask him straight up, like, why can't we just do this with Mo Cox? Like, I mean, the dude, his efficiency ratings year over year, this is not just the one game that he had. Like his efficiency ratings is yards per route run. He can block. I mean, he should be out there all the time.
By the way, Naheem Hines suffered a concussion in this game, and I don't know about Jonathan Taylor's status, but I do think that JT active, Naheem Hines inactive is obviously a really good setup for JT if he's able to make it back.
Yeah, that concussion was scary. I mean, it looked like he got sent into another dimension or something. Like he just lost control. It was brutal, man.
Jacksonville, last 2 weeks, and maybe it's been some game script stuff in there, but last 2 weeks, Travis Etienne has played more snaps than James Robinson both games. Overall, it's 64-52. So I just want to put that out there. I don't think Travis Etienne looks that great out there to my, very untrained eye, but at least they're giving him a lot of good chances. The Christian Kirk thing was weird. I played Christian Kirk in cash. He played 71 snaps, 54 of them in the slot, ran 48 routes on 50 Trevor Lawrence dropbacks, and saw 3 targets for a 6% share. He had at least a 20% share in every other game this year. So it was really weird, Christian Kirk's air ball here, and cost me severely. Evan, any thoughts on that? Anything else on the Jaguars? And this is a bad loss for a Jaguars team who I thought was the best team in the AFC South.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, that's kind of gone by the wayside over the last 2 weeks, huh?
Yeah.
I saw Wiggins put in the in our Slack like that you and I had this irrational hatred of Zay Jones. I almost like screenshotted like his Pro Football Reference like history, and like how little production he has over like a half decade span. But I was like, I'm not going to do that because Wiggins like the nicest guy ever, But Zay Jones, big Zay Jones, 8 targets, 12 scoreless yards. I don't think he's an asset this year.
No, and we tried to write off a lot of what happened in week 4 to the weather in Philly. It's harder to write it off here. I mean, their pass game was not clicking whatsoever in this game, and so there's certainly some concern there. Chiefs. The good news, I guess, is that Sky Moore's role is expanding a little bit. He ran 14 routes in this game on 48 Mahomes dropbacks. The concern, man, and probably, I certainly had some really bad misses in the season-long streets. I mean, Kyle Pitts looks really bad. DJ Moore looks really bad. And I was trying to hold out hope for Juju, but I was taking Juju a ton in round 5 and round 6. I'm almost ready to take the L on Juju, who doesn't ever really appear to be open and is running routes so close to the line of scrimmage and is not really a factor in the red zone that it's going to be hard, I think, for Juju to have ceiling games, which is really, really frustrating because they need him. I mean, they need wide receiver play. I actually thought MVS played a great game last night, but I don't know how consistently they can rely on that. I thought McCole Hardman played a really good game also last night. I don't know how much they can rely on that, but I'm just not sure Juju can do it at this point. Also, everybody's favorite 7th round rookie, Isaiah Pacheco, just 2 snaps in this game. Jerick McKinnon played a really good game, 39 snaps. CH got 31. So I don't know, Evan, are we taking the L on Juju, or am I guess, specifically taking the L on Juju? I'm kind of tempted to just take the L on it and move on, and it sucks.
Yeah, I know. It's a difficult call because, I mean, he's still getting a good amount of participation in a Patrick Mahomes quarterbacked offense.
Oh, he was 42 out of 48 routes last night. I mean, he's out there a ton.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just downgrade him. We had hopes that he could be like maybe top 15. Like at least like a consistent wide receiver 2, getting a lot of targets and stuff. But we just downgrade him now. He's like a wide receiver 3, a fringe wide receiver 3, where we're deciding every week, like he's in our pool every week. Are we going to start him? Yeah. Maybe based on matchup, whatever. But you're right. I mean, I think that your analysis is spot on. He seems to never be open.
Yeah.
Seems to never be open. Everything is contested. He just doesn't, he's not very good. I mean, I think he's not very good right now.
Yeah. Sucks.
Yeah. McKinnon was an absolute beast in this game. I mean, and it looked like he had fallen to the back end of the pecking order coming out of the previous game, and that Pacheco was moving up. But no, McKinnon was essentially the lead back here.
Yeah.
And I mean, he performed like it. I mean, he had some unbelievable runs, man. I mean, he was hyped up. He was a big part of their offense. As someone that like took so much Mahomes and Kelsey that I had to stop get myself to stop doing it. This was a really fun performance. I have an FFPC main event with Rebar, Thorman, Davis Maddock, and JJ. And we had the Mahomes Kelsey stack, and we got this text thread, and it was a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of fun.
I mean, I didn't even check, but it's got to be a record: 4 touchdowns and 24 receiving yards. It's got to be.
It is. It is.
I mean, it's impossible. 24 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. Shout out to Travis.
It's the most touchdowns ever and the least yards ever.
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah. My take on the running back stuff is just hot hand. I know coaches throw that word around all the time, but I actually think that McKinnon came out like he was shot out of a cannon, and they're like, fuck it, let's just go with him. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what they did. And so
I agree.
So yeah, I mean, that's gonna be really hard to predict on a week-to-week basis. Speaking of that game, go to the Raiders and Josh Jacobs. We talked about the role. We talked about the way he's playing. I mean, not only he's earned, they came into the year, I think, wanted to use Amir Abdullah, wanted to use Brandon Bolin, wanted to use Amir White. Jacobs has not allowed them to do that by playing so well. And now he has the 4th best expected fantasy point workload in the entire NFL. He's on pace for 309 carries and 58 catches. Man, he's been just awesome player. Darren Waller did get hurt last night, which sucks because I thought Darren Waller was a pretty good pick in round 5 and 6 when he was slipping there due to the holdout and stuff like that. But Darren Waller goes down early in this game and takes an air ball. What'd you see out of the Raiders last night?
Yeah, well, the Raiders are now 1-4, and their four losses are a combined 12 points.
Yeah.
Now, last year they were a team that got a ton of fortune in one-score games, and this year they're kind of feeling their regression. I mean, they're a better team than what their record shows. That's Definitely. Absolutely true. Devontae Adams is just an absolute baller. I mean, look, let's be real here. His ability to Willie Mays, deep passes over his shoulder. Every time that he was targeted, he either made a big play or he drew a PI.
Yeah. In
this game, they need to target him more. I mean, he's had too few targets, I think. And then in addition to that, yeah, I mean, I agree with you on Josh Jacobs. He's playing out of his mind. He's never played this well before in his career.
Yeah. And this would be this is going to go down on the poster boy of contract year performances. Once they declined his 5th year option, they talked about it on the broadcast last night. They declined his 5th year option. He was like, you know what? I'm just going to go out there and prove that I deserve a big contract. And I mean, he's doing it. Chargers. So Austin Eckler, I feel like we talk about it every week. He's losing a lot of work. He's losing a lot of work to Josh Kelly. And he's losing specifically goal line and red zone work. He's only playing 57% of the snaps for the season. He's still fantasy's number 2 running back. He is just so outrageously good in the pass game. It's crazy. Yeah. I've been really disappointed by Josh Palmer, who hasn't really done much with Keenan out. I know he's been nursing an ankle issue, but doesn't seem to be too severe. That's been frustrating. But yeah, what do you think of the Chargers? It was a really wild game between them and the Browns.
Yeah. It was a fun game. Donald Parham came back. Trey McKitty is involved. That doesn't bode particularly well for Gerald Everett. Josh Kelly has clearly asserted himself as the Chargers' number 2 RB, and he should be rostered everywhere. And he's playing really well. He finished with almost 80, 90 total yards, 12 touches in this game. He scored a touchdown. He's going to get the ball in close quite a bit. If Austin Eckler goes down, like Josh Kelly's been playing really well. Daniel Popper does a great job covering the Chargers. Josh Kelly had like a really good training camp. Recently asked Brandon Staley, hey, what do you think about getting the ball more to Josh Kelly? And Brandon Staley was like, yeah, we should.
And by the way, Austin Eckler wants that too. Austin Eckler has talked a lot about, hey, I want to play a longer career. I don't want 30 touches in a game, but it doesn't matter. I mean, the dude is just
Austin
so
Eckler
good.
is a smart guy.
Yeah.
And then Josh Kelly also in this game had some big time blitz pickups, which is, that when you're playing a rookie left tackle, like you're going to need your back to be back there and pass protecting. So Josh Kelly should be rostered literally everywhere, even like I think shallow bench leagues. I mean, try to fit him on as your last guy at very least.
Okay. Let's go to Miami. Chase Edmonds. I don't even know what to say. I have such Shanahan vibes on this. They give him $12 million. Everybody thinks that, including me, thinks that assures him a role for Shanahan's, for McDaniels. Apparently, it doesn't matter. Like $12 million guaranteed. It doesn't matter. They played Raheem Mostert ahead of him, of course. But then they also played Myles Gaskin ahead of Chase Edmonds. It came after a couple bad drops that Chase Edmonds had in the past game. I know. Will Myles Gaskin continue to play ahead of Chase Edmonds? I don't know. I think for now we're going to project it that Edmonds is still the number 2, but Gaskin's going to eat into it a little bit, I think is how we're going to have it. But it's certainly tenuous there. Mostert played a really good game, though. The other thing that we need to talk about with the Dolphins is the quarterback situation. They obviously lose Tua, then they lose Teddy to kind of a similar thing, although Teddy's probably would have been cleared if not for the new regulations in place from the Tua thing, but that's a story for another day. So anyways, I think Teddy will be okay. We'll see on Tua. And then if Tyreek Hill's in a walking boot also, hurt his foot in this game. And Jalen Waddle, I'm not sure if he's right off the groin. I mean, there's a lot of not great stuff going on with the Dolphins right now. Still, love Mike McDaniel, our king. What do you see and what do you think about everything going on with the Dolphins?
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered most of it. I mean, Chase Edmonds has played his way out of this, though, too. I mean, he's been horrible. He's got like 3 drops over the last couple of weeks. Hasn't been effective on the ground. He was supposed to be a great fit for the outside zone running scheme, and I think clearly they've determined that Raheem Mostert is a way better fit. Raheem Mostert obviously knows the offense from his time together with Mike McDaniel in San Francisco, and he brings a lot of speed to the table, a lot of juice. That's what – and he's unlikely to hold up over the course of the season. So I don't know. In deeper leagues, I would think about stashing Myles Gaskin, actually.
Oh, God.
I know it's gross.
Yeah, and we'll see on the Tyreek injury for now. Didn't strike me as something that was going to be too serious, but we'll see on Tyreek. New England, I was a little bit disappointed in myself. I thought Hunter Henry might be a really good punt, and he was so cheap on Sunday. I didn't pull the trigger on it. It turned out that he was. I mean, Hunter Henry with Jonnu out played 59 out of 60 snaps, 18 routes on 22 dropbacks, 24% target share, 4.54-0 result on a day that Bailey Zappi didn't even throw that much. And so I think as long as Jonnu's out, Hunter Henry is at least going to be in play at punt tight end. The big news, though, Evan, I mean, we got a lot wrong. We got some stuff wrong. Ramondre Stevenson, baby. It is Ramondre Stevenson season. And yeah, you can say, well, maybe it wouldn't be if Ty Montgomery didn't get hurt, if Damian Harris didn't get hurt. I don't know, man. Ramondre's been playing really well. He's PFF's number 3 graded running back out of all running backs in the entire league. He was having not just usable, but good games, even when Damian Harris was healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, I don't even know what to say. He could be a top 5 running back easily for as long as Damian Harris out. Any thoughts on Ramondre? Anything else on the Patriots?
Yeah, and Damian Harris, according to reports, is supposed to miss multiple games. He also has struggled with a hamstring injury last year. So I don't think we're going to see him for a few weeks. I saw Sean Kerner, the odds maker, talking about where he's going to rank Ramondre Stevenson in terms of like week 6 plays.
Yeah.
And he said that he's going to have Ramondre Stevenson as the number 1 overall fantasy back.
Yeah,
going into week 6, and Sean Corner is pretty good at this.
Okay? Yeah, we were, and our projection guys were talking about the same thing. Like, it's impossible not to get a huge projection on Ramondre here. Like, impossible.
Yeah, they want to run the ball. He can play in the passing game. I mean, he should play a ton of snaps. Ty Montgomery is not ready to return from IR yet. It's adding up really nicely for Fat Mondre. Even I can't believe that he was ever given that nickname. And I think I know who did it. Was it PSU fans?
Yep, Sean Newsham.
Oh, of course he would. Of course he would.
Nelson Aguilar hurt his hamstring also in this game. We'll keep an eye on that. But really, the pass game is not, obviously with Zappy in there, it's not great. But even with Mack in there, it's very hit or miss.
Yeah, this and Bailey Zappi. I mean, he played about as well as you could expect. A third string rookie out of Western Kentucky to do. By the way, they did run a ton of spread. They ran like the Western Kentucky offense.
Yeah.
But he was sacked 0 times on 21 dropbacks. He was only pressured 3 times in the game. Another testament to how poor the Detroit defense is. I mean, they had, they had their dudes back this week. Okudo got hurt, but up front they had their dudes and they couldn't get any pressure on Billy Zappi.
Let's go to the Jets. We talked a lot about Breece Hall and buying Breece Hall and how Breece Hall's role was rising. And it is. And again, he had 65% of the running back carries. Michael Carter still got a bunch of base work. Michael Carter still got some goal line work. I think Breece actually got tackled at the 1-yard line twice and didn't get the touchdown on either one. He did run hot in the pass game, though. I mean, only 2 targets for Breece Hall in this game. One of them goes for 79 yards. But Breece is obviously a very, very good player. He's seeing targets down the field, which is so valuable for a running back. And he's just so explosive. And we knew that from his measurables, from his production in college. What do you think of Breece? Anything else on the Jets?
Well, and I think that this was to be expected because Joe Flacco was throwing the ball 50 times a game in the first 3 weeks. The Jets have been much more balanced with Zach Wilson under center. And some of that has to do with positive game script. Okay. I mean, when you're ahead, then they've won 2 games in a row. When you're ahead, you're going to run the ball more and throw the ball less. But they've got 62 rushing attempts and 60 pass attempts over the last 2 weeks. And I think that that's notable. I think the Jets are, I think they're, I think they're okay. I mean, they've got talent. It's just a matter of it all coming together. They've got talent on both sides of the ball. Sauce Gardner is a stud. Jermaine Johnson came on a little bit in this game. Their pass rusher, their first round pass rusher, and they certainly have, they got Dwayne Brown back, and they certainly have weapons offensively. Breece Hall is averaging 19.5 touches per game over the last 2, 137 total yards per game. I think that Michael Carter scored 2 touchdowns in this game.
Yeah.
But I think that that's a little bit fluky. I think that Breece Hall is starting to really separate himself, and I think he's really good.
My issue with this Jets stuff is Zach Wilson. They don't want him to throw the ball a lot. Mm-hmm. It's not like Joe Flacco, and so their throw rate is really low, and they have so many good players.
Right.
And guys are just going to disappear at certain times. Maybe not Breece Hall, but I have a hard time like clicking Garrett Wilson, who I like, Elijah Moore, who I like. I don't know when it's going to be which guy. It's really hard because I don't think they're going to throw enough to support more than 1 or 2 of them in a given week.
And the chemistry with Elijah Moore and Zach Wilson is just still not there. You would think after last year, I mean, the completion rate, if you combine the 2 seasons last year, and they came up as rookies together, you would think that there might be some chemistry to develop there, but it hasn't happened. The completion rate on passes from Zach Wilson to Elijah Moore the last 2 seasons, 46%. It has not happened for Elijah Moore to this point.
Let's go to the Steelers. I mean, they got absolutely torched by the Buffalo Bills. They were down 24-3 in the second quarter and 31-3 at half. I think, look, in the first half, the touches were Najee Harris 12. I'm sorry, the opportunities were Najee Harris 12, Jaylen Warren 1. But Jaylen Warren was playing on third downs. And so, and then when they got into a blowout, they left some of the starters in. Jaylen Warren stayed in. The bottom line is that Jaylen Warren's going to keep playing more. I mean, they came out and said it today. He's going to keep playing. He's going to be in there on pass downs. I mean, it's bad for Najee, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, really bad for Najee. And like, he was one of the guys after week 1 where we were like, just sell. We had a big fade on him in the preseason. After week 1, just sell him. And now it's going to be too late because everybody's going to be out on Najee. Any thoughts on Najee versus Jaylen Warren? Anything else on the Steelers?
No, I mean, I think that they like the way that Jaylen Warren plays. I think that they think that he plays like Steeler football. He's really good in pass protection, which is really rare for an undrafted rookie. And I think he plays with like a rugged style that I think that they like. And yeah, I mean, I think he's going to continue to cut into the work for Najee Harris. George Pickens, again, I think is showing an actual on-field rapport with Kenny Pickett. And I think that George Pickens has a realistic chance to lead the Steelers in receiving this season. Deontay Johnson's good, but George Pickens is like, he's a baller, man.
Yeah, I was frustrated that Pat Freiermuth got hurt in this game because, as you saw, like Zach Gentry got in there and had a pretty good game, and Freiermuth would have had, I think, an even better game. And so we'll see how he is. Shout out Penn State.
Freiermuth has 3 concussions or now over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah. Last one we're going to do here is the Titans. Titans go to Washington and get a win despite completing only 15 passes, and only 7 of those passes went to wide receivers. They are entering a bye this week. We'll be watching for Treylon Burks' turf toe news. What did you see out of the Titans win in Washington?
Big Dog is like, he's there. He's right where we need him in terms of skill level, in terms of usage. That's now looking like a pretty good late first round pick. He fell to the second in a lot of drafts actually this year. Mm-hmm. That's looking pretty good. The passing game is just not very fun. Kyle Phillips was a player that people were a little bit excited after week 1. I think he went like 6 for 66 or something like that. Slot receiver, but he's not going to play a lot when they're using a ton of tight ends. The teams are either running 3 receivers and 1 tight end, or 2 receivers and 2 tight ends. And as the slot receiver, he's not going to be in there. It's going to be Westbrook Akine and Robert Woods in the 2 receiver set. So Kyle Phillips is just kind of, he's a dynasty stash.
And there's a lot of games where Ryan Tannehill only throws it 15, 17, 19 times. I mean, that's how they prefer to play, get Derrick Henry 25 or 30 carries. All right. That is going to do it for this week's Team by Team Pods. Appreciate y'all being here. Hope it helps. Hope it gives you guys some value. Do not forget about the NBA package that is up. And also for NFL, if you haven't subscribed yet, we do have weekly and monthly options available on the site. For Evan, for producer Luke, I'm Adam. Good luck, everybody.